All right, folks, welcome back. This is Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr., and we are going to be talking Yankees baseball. Finally, man. I thought we had a really good debut episode. We've been very busy. We're not going to be taking that much, we're not going to be taking that much time, I don't think, the next, episode or 2 or 3 down the road. I think we really want to get this thing going. It's what, 25 days away, Gary? The
Too
next,
long.
yeah, I mean, so we're
Way too long.
excited. And by the way, we appreciate you guys. We're over 120 subscribers on this channel that we started from literal scratch. So it means a lot that you guys have already done that. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Follow me at JK Bogan on all social media. You can follow Gary at Gary Sheffield Jr. on all social media. Gary, how the hell are you doing?
I am super jet lagged. Horrible. It couldn't be worse. We won't talk about this too long, but I just got back from Italy for like 2 weeks. This flight, when I tell you, on the way over there, no problem. Like, we slept, like we planned. On the way back, we just said screw it. Came back. I kid you not. I golfed yesterday. It was one of the worst rounds of my life. It felt hungover. I still feel hungover today, but I'm ready to talk Yankees baseball because I don't know what else we're supposed to do with 3 weeks to go to the season. And other than watch Juan Soto hit bombs.
Yeah, I know. And then like almost
That's
home
pretty much
runs
it.
now. Like it's either a home run or it's almost a home run. Yeah, I'm with you there. I actually, as you know, that's why we're recording this a little bit later. I did golf today, first time on the course. And yeah, man, I'm like it takes a lot out of you. But you know what else takes a lot out of you? Doing an all-nighter 24-hour stream, which we've done before. So
I'm never doing that again.
I'm not either. It's
Never.
not healthy. I started like seeing fuzz in my vision. So
No, and by the way, you realize that time when we went live for 24 hours,
yeah.
remember when I was complaining that my stomach was hard? It was because I was allergic to the gluten. That's why.
Oh, that's right. Cause
I was having
yeah.
remember I left, I was like, I'm gonna go take a nap, but I was really nauseous. That's why I went to the other room and I just passed out. It
Oh
was bad.
man,
Yeah, so I
that
was
is
really
bad.
having an allergic reaction. And all my friends were like bullying me with subs, which technically I should be thankful for because they were spending money on me,
Yeah.
supporting me, but I didn't want to be there. Not gonna lie.
No, that was a lot of fun, and then it became work at the end. I probably could have done more hours, but then when I got off my desk, I just saw fuzziness. Like it was bad. It was like a bad TV. Anyway, Scott Boras, man, I mean, the master marketer is how you described him. I'd say he at this point, what has gone wrong is the fact that I don't think this is just a bad offseason for Scott Boras. I think this man has lost touch with what the Major League Baseball, this league really is. And the market, he's just not just read wrong, he's just completely given these guys the worst advice. I mean, I'll say this right now. First off, Cody Bellinger, the fact he's back with the Cubs and the fact he's not getting paid what we thought he was going to get paid tells
80
you
million,
kind of,
by the way.
yeah, it tells you a lot though. It tells you a lot. And I don't think it didn't seem, I know Bellinger was interested in the Yankees, but it didn't seem like the Yankees ever talked to him. I don't even know
they
if
didn't.
Boras gauged any, interest there. Then you look at Snell. I mean, I'm not, I understand Jack Curry said, it's probably not going to happen, but what other offer does Snell have? It's like not good. Like hashtag not good.
No, it feels like Scott Boras is just overplaying every hand he's got. And don't get me wrong, with all these players, like you look at Cody Bellinger, and some people are like, well, his ex-velo is low. He's off. He had a shoulder injury not too long ago. Every player ever has a red flag somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Even like a couple years ago, Marcus Semien got his contract out of Toronto, right? He had a career year. You can easily argue, well, 2-3 years before that, he didn't play so well. So there's an up and down there. So you can say, we're not going to pay that guy because His performance is, it could be here, it could be there. We don't know what he's going to do. Same thing with Blake Snell. It's exact same thing. I literally said on the first episode, he can either pitch to a 6 ERA and give you 110 innings, or he can be a Cy Young Award winner like we saw last year, right? So every single player, Matt Chapman, the exact same thing. All these players have somewhat of a flaw, and it's Scott Boras' job to maximize whatever contractually he can do. But the issue with Scott Boras is he's tried to manipulate the market instead of just playing the market correctly. You can ask people for a lot of money and land in the $150 million range, but instead what he'll do is realize he's got a $150 million player. He'll ask for 225, and then he's got all these teams thinking it's going to cost him 225 to go get this player. And then it's spring training time, and you've got two teams even calling about the guy. And now he's signing for 75, 80 million. That to me is what Scott Boras is. And it's a problem. And it doesn't matter to him because he's already worth $700, $800 million. He can sit around. He doesn't need those contracts to go through to get his bonus. He can wait around and try to maximize guys, not care about where they go, sign with who. It doesn't matter. So when people are sitting here asking, why doesn't this guy sign right away? Why is he waiting? Why is this guy pondering his offer to the last second? It's Scott Boras. That guy, while he's a very smart guy and a very prepared person, his game plan is just not working right now.
No, it's not. And I think it's a disservice. I think Snell should have already had a deal. Most of these contracts that we've talked about, in the past, they don't work out late in the year. Because there is a preparation, you owe it to your body, not just your team, not just your coaching staff and all that. You owe it to yourself to get yourself to be prepared to pitch 200 innings, right? And if you're not there, because keep in mind, pitchers and catchers report early. So if you're not there and 25 days from now, we're talking baseball's back, and you're telling me you think this is the best thing for Blake Snell? No, this is the best thing for Scott Boras. This isn't the best thing for Blake Snell. Blake Snell, the best thing for him would have been to sign and just take the Yankees offer, get him in training camp, right? And in spring training, and figure things out. Now, it's you don't know, man. You don't know.
Well, Jake, how much money is he going to sign for? In your opinion, like how much money is when you see, because at some point in the next week and a half or so, we're going to see a notification from Jeff Passan or one of these other goons are going to tell us that this guy signed here, right? Blake Snell signed wherever, the Angels, the Yankees. What's that number? What do you think that number is going to look like? Is it going to be north of 175?
No. So, I think he's going to end up signing lower.
Right. So are you saying lower than 150?
I could see it. I kind of see 140. I kind of see in that range. And by the way, I think the Yankees have a number that they're not going to move off from, and I can't hate on them for it. I have to actually commend them for being that team. Like, don't let Scott Boras dictate what you're going to do and how you do business. There's a difference between negotiations and just, outright just not handling business properly. And right now, I just don't feel like Scott Boras is handling business properly in the best interest of everyone else.
100%. No, 100%. And the last thing I'll say about Snell, we're sitting here talking about a player who got a $150 million offer from the Yankees. That's been well documented. Okay. I think it was 5 years, 150. Maybe there's been, but I haven't seen it. Another offer out there that's been north of 150. I haven't heard about it. So the fact that Scott Boras, because we know the way he works, this guy would have leaked information like that there's been an offer that's exceeded 150 million, because then we would know the Yankees are just not in at all. Because right now, the way the Yankees have spent, they're at 306 million, I believe, on their payroll. They're not going to go above 150 million. They're not going to pay him more than Rodon. So the situation right now, given the information we have, is that the Yankees have the top offer. Now, I highly doubt, based on what we just saw with Matt Chapman, that Blake Snell's got 180, 200 million sitting in his back pocket right now. My guess is the Yankees offered 150 earlier because they thought Snell was going to get around 200 million, and then it hasn't come to fruition. Now all of a sudden the Yankees are sitting there with the best offer. Now who says the Yankees have to keep that 150 out there? Now they can maybe offer him 90.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, there are people that have offers that are like, oh, this offer only lasts until this and it'll expire and things like that. And I mean, yeah, the Yankees could absolutely be that team that's like, yeah, that offer was yesterday's offer. Today's offer is this. Now, Gary, I'm going to say this because currently you are looking down into the abyss.
Oh, come on.
You missed.
No, I'm switching my camera. It's done. No, here you go. There you go.
Yeah, I was trying to get a hold of you while we were recording.
Good Lord.
I mean, hey, you know what? Sometimes you're really into something and you just get sidetracked, and yeah, or sometimes your camera freezes. Your really nice camera. All right, let's talk about Juan Soto. Enough talking about guys that aren't on the roster. Let's talk about somebody who is, and somebody that I believe is going to remain on the roster beyond this year. So Mets fans, with your really, really awful photoshops in that god awful orange or black or just blue, which by the way is all plagiarized because the orange essentially represents the New York Giants back when they were there at the Polo Grounds, and the blue is just Brooklyn Dodger blue. So you couldn't even come up with your own colors. That's why you added black. And your whole freaking logo on the hat, Gary, I'm just going in. The logo on the hat is literally the New York Giants logo back when they were there. So
you don't like the Mets?
I do not like the Mets. Hopefully Yankees fans aren't going to take offense to that. I don't think they would, but I mean,
we'll see.
But no, I'm just tired of seeing, Juan Soto is going to be a Met. First off, no, he's not. It's a downgrade. Why would he do that? He wants to be a Yankee. His dad's a Yankee fan, right? And I don't know about you, but he sure looks pretty damn happy to be in pinstripes. I think I sent you his Instagram page. You know me, I'm not big on the whole social media means this, and that, but like, bro, his entire Instagram is decked out in Yankee stuff, and it's kind of funny.
He looks like a college recruit. It's his first year. He just signed Division I. This is literally what a college, like a high school number 4 overall recruit who just signed with Alabama. This is what his profile looks like. Like everything about Juan Soto, it looks like I can't even. It looks like a kid became a Yankee, which is fantastic for us. But yeah. I know we're going to lead contractually into like, if he loves being here, why won't he sign this extension? And what's funny about that whole conversation, which we were about to have off air, okay, is that all these people think, oh, Aaron Judge, he always wanted to be a Yankee. He's a captain. And I agree with him 100%. Aaron Judge wanted to be here. Yeah. When did Aaron Judge sign early?
He did not.
He never did. He didn't even consider doing it. Matter of fact, when we asked him about it, he said, well, I want to do it in the off season because I want to worry about the season. It's the exact same thing Derek Jeter said, by the way. I don't want to focus on contracts. What I want to do is focus on baseball. And really what that's doing is it's a way to punt the conversation and maximize the dollars. Because I don't know a single person, I don't care how much you like your company, that willingly leaves money on the table. This is money that you can give to your family, that you can donate to charity that you care about, that you can spend for a home. This is money. I don't know people that just say, I'm cool with the amount of money I make, when you could opt to make more money. So Juan Soto is not signing an extension early unless the Yankees are going like 550. And if they do that, then okay. But the Yankees have to engage that conversation. Juan Soto is not walking to the table and is like, give me 400 and we'll call it good. Not going to happen.
No, I agree. I mean, I think, when it comes to Juan Soto, you have to understand that, you and I might say, oh, well, does he really need that much money? He's already got plenty of it. But that's not just how, like, it's different with professional baseball. And he needs to take care of himself. Now he's not trying to screw over the Yankees, I don't think. I mean, but I also think right now his focus is on what's happening. And I think the Yankees are doing the best they can to be accommodating, because what you don't want is you get into a great relationship with this player and you're all excited and everything, and then you ruin it by pestering him to sign and, you know, kind of like pushing him, and just let him make his decision. And I think he'll ultimately come back. But let's talk about him just as a player right now, as a Yankee. It is a sight to see. I mean, I understand it is just spring training, and there's a chance, you know, maybe they cork the balls to add some you know some hype, right? Like, everyone loves home runs. It seems like the Yankees are hitting 3 every single, you know, spring training game. But in all jokes aside, in actuality, Juan Soto looks so comfortable in pinstripes. And I just feel like him with Aaron Judge next to each other in the lineup, it's going to be the best 1-2 punch in baseball. I really believe that. I understand there are some guys out there. I mean, you know, people would say, you know, Betts and Ohtani. I'm going to say exactly the same thing I said the last time with the whole Ohtani deal. Until Ohtani goes back to pitching, Aaron Judge, in my opinion, is the best player, offensive player in the you know, not just the American League, because Ohtani's not even in the American League anymore, in baseball. And the guy that I would rival against him is Juan Soto. And I think there's a chance that Juan Soto is going to win MVP this year and be the best hitter in baseball. And I think a lot of people are quick to forget when he was hitting in the 350s, you know, and they're quick to forget how well he played in the playoffs. And, you know, just for that alone, and we brought that up in the last episode, just for his playoff hitting alone, he is going to be an upgrade over anything that they've had. He's going to make a tangible difference. You'll be able to feel it. You'll be able to touch it. You will be able to see it immediately. This guy has changed the dynamic of a postseason offense overnight.
Yeah, and don't you get the feeling? Yeah, don't you get the feeling that Juan Soto just wants to play baseball when people care?
Yeah.
Because when I watch Juan Soto, the whole shuffle, all his postseason runs, I get the feeling that Juan Soto wants to be on the big stage, even when he was in the postseason. Because I'm going to say this: the big stage is the playoffs. Okay, I understand New York can elevate that. I got it. But playing in the postseason in Boston, playing in the postseason in the NLCS for the Washington Nationals, that's the stage. Okay. So when you're watching that, that's what Juan Soto was waiting for. So when you're watching that as a Yankees fan or as a baseball fan, you could tell that he's getting up for those games. He's ready to play. He wants to be there. But then you look at other players that we've had lay eggs in the postseason. It's a personality trait. Of course, you have to play baseball. It's at the highest level. But when you're talking about what type of personality is it going to take to play quality baseball in New York, and not just New York as in the Mets, because that's the Clippers of New York. Okay. New York is for the Yankees. We're talking about, you need to have a personality that's sure of themselves, right? You need to be sure of who you are, and you need to know, I'm the best player on the field. And so far, and I get it's just spring training, and I don't want to dig too much into it, but when you see the energy that he's putting in, you can look at a player. It's almost like he's ready to put on a show. It's not about what will I do in New York. It's that New York gets to enjoy me and we get to put me on the big stage. That's the way this feels. So when I'm looking at Aaron Judge and Juan Soto back to back in the lineup, I guess it doesn't matter if you put him 2 or 3, because I think he's hitting 2 right now and he's just flat out raking. So we'll take it.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind 3 and 4 though.
I wouldn't mind 3 or 4.
So I hope that's something. I'm not expecting it to be. I'm hoping that Boone sees that and is like, you know what, we're probably leaving some RBIs out on there. You know, that'll come with time. But Marcus Stroman. Some ups, some downs. It's early on. I think if anything to take away, because I mean, spring training, it's not a foolproof thing. There's not one way to look at spring training and be like, oh, if he's hitting home runs, he'll hit him. We saw, was it last year, 2 years ago? It was, I'm totally blanking on his name now. Out of sight, out of mind. He got traded to the Padres. Catcher. Yeah. Totally blanking on his name. Higashioka.
Oh, Kyle Higashioka. I forgot he's not with us anymore.
Yeah, there you go. Higashioka, either last year or 2 years ago, had like 13 home runs in spring training. I mean, he had
he's Babe Ruth,
4 or 5 in the regular season. I think really that's the point, is that you got to take it with a grain of salt. There are some things you can take away. Like, I'll tell you what I'm taking away, and we'll get into this, and maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit because I know you wanted to talk about this. Giancarlo Stanton's, swing, his approach at the plate. I'm taking away that he has fixed something. Okay. I don't know if that's going to matter in the grand scheme of things. I don't know how much it will. I don't have a tangible idea of like, oh yeah, he's going to, his batting average is going to go up by 10 points. No idea. But clearly when you watch him in spring training, he has clearly changed something and it's working. I just think his approach at the plate is better. I think he's getting more, stronger contact on the ball, hitting that inside pitch that, maybe he would struggle with. I think he just has more coverage of the plate, if you ask me. And it's like making those adjustments. Those are the things you look for. And obviously, like, the moment is not going to be too big for Juan Soto in general, but let's just say he was somebody who has struggled in that moment. Do we really think that playing in those minor league ballparks in Tampa, do we really think that's going to tell us whether or not a guy can play in the moment? No. So I think there are some things that you can definitely take away that are good. But if you're looking at 11 home runs of Higashioka to translate into a 22 to 33 home run season, we've already seen that doesn't happen.
It rarely ever does. You know who else?
Yeah.
God, what was that catcher? Was it Kurt Suzuki? Kurt Suzuki used to freaking rake, and he raked in spring training. Like, one of the best players I've ever watched. Best player on the field. But as far as Giancarlo Stanton goes, Giancarlo either looks like the best player on the field, at least the best player with a bat, or he looks like George Washington cutting down a tree. He doesn't. Here's the thing. I support Giancarlo through and through. I've supported him every single year of his career in New York, especially how he holds himself. He doesn't show up because this guy won't show up, go 2 for 20, and then say, well, I'm dealing with a shoulder. No, here's what he'll do. I'll know because I've asked, he's dealing with a shoulder, but he'll go out there and say it's unacceptable how I'm playing. That's the mentality of a person that's not interested in figuring out why am I not playing well. He just knows he has to play well. That's the mentality you have to have as a Yankee. So all I ask from Giancarlo is that a player who always has highs and lows in his season, there needs to be highs this season. Last year, there were no highs. It was just the lows with the lows. We were watching him strike out seemingly every other at bat, and he couldn't round third base. Now, that's okay if you hit 375 for a month and a half of the season and put us on your back the way we're used to seeing. But Giancarlo Stanton last year, and I don't know what's happened with his stance, because his stance, he started to close his stance a little bit, and it was working for him. That's no complaints there. But It's gotten so pronounced at this point. This man is essentially facing the first base dugout. I get it. He's a professional hitter. He knows more about hitting than me. I'll always think that. Always. But something's wrong when you're looking at the first base dugout and guys are continuously throwing you the same pitches and getting you out in the same fashion. So I have to ask for some type of adjustment in 2024 where Giancarlo, he's got to give us that hot month. And if I get that hot month, I don't care if he hits 205. This guy can hit 199, okay? But if he hits 325 for a month and a half and we say, thank God Giancarlo Stanton's on the team because this guy's out and this guy's out, but he was able to put us on his back for a month, that's why he's on the team at this point. Because otherwise we can just go ahead and DFA him. But if we're not going to do that, he's got to give us that.
Also, postseason, he actually hits pretty well, which is kind of surprising. He really kind of turns it on the postseason. He kind of always has.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. I think going back to Marcus Stroman, I think, like I said, there are some good things, there are some bad things. I mean, if you ask me, I think he's going to have a year where he's either in the high, 3.9s or, low 4 ERA. And that's okay. Like, I think you could work with that. Doesn't have to be your number 3 or number 4 starter. I mean, maybe he moves down, but, really he's going to be one of your best 5 starting pitchers. And that's all you can really ask for out of a starter. Now, I want to talk about Stanton slimming down because there's that picture that came out with Aaron Judge and him, and he just didn't even look like the same guy. Like, big, bulky Stanton that could play like tight end in the NFL was kind of like skinny. And I think really it's the angle. And what I'll say is, because I cover football as well, every single offseason during training camp, we get some weird side like picture that makes a guy look way overweight. It happens all the time. And you know what I'm talking about. I think it was not Eddie Lacy, because that might have actually been true, but no.
Well, I saw Zion Williamson. They show a new picture of Zion Williamson. He looks like he just walked out of a buffet every week. They do this every single time.
But no, like,
then you see him and he looks good.
The off season, they always find those weird angle, dude. Photographers, they just know, man. They know. I mean, they got to get those pictures sold. Stanton was also wearing shorts. I think that's another thing people don't understand is that these guys like wearing shorts, you're always seeing them in long pants, right? Yeah. Don't really see their legs. So that's another thing. I don't know. I'm not going to make too big of a deal about it. I think slimming down though is also it's not a bad thing. He's not overweight or anything like that. And I mean, hell, Vogelbach can play in this league. So that tells you all you need to know. But I mean, Stanton to me, like, I think he'll be just what we expect. I think you and I are kind of thinking around 210, 220.
He's going to hit 210. No, yeah. 100%. He's hitting 210. And it's a matter of, is he going to hit 220 every single month? And then he hits 190 in August, and then it's a 210 that way? Or is it 210 because he hit 160 in June and then he shows up and hits 405 the following month? That's what I care about. I need the ups and downs. I need the inconsistencies. I can't have you being consistently buns. That can't happen. I cannot watch that. I know he's going to be accountable. I know he's not going to make any excuses. All that's great. But that's just a side quest. Okay, being accountable is just a little side quest in New York. You need to perform and help us win. And in order for you to make sense of being on this roster, because we're paying him like $29 million right now, might even be over 30. Yeah, over $30 million for a player that we're talking about who might hit 25 homers, who might be on the field enough to hit 25 homers and is going to hit almost 200. That's what we're talking about here. So if that's the output, there needs to be the highs there, because if there's not, I'm going to have a hard time defending Giancarlo. And I already know people who are listening to this podcast, when you get to listen to this podcast, you're going to ask me, do you think Giancarlo should be on this roster? And right now I could tell you, I don't know. I don't know if he should be on this roster. That's my honest answer. And we'll know about halfway through the season, because when Verdugo is on the field and Jason Dominguez gets healthy towards the middle of the year, starts making his way back on the field, some hard decisions are going to have to be made about Giancarlo Stanton. All of it's going to be solved by how he plays.
Especially if Trent Grisham's bat in spring training comes alive and stays alive in the regular season. No,
Trent Grisham, he won't be alive.
No.
He's a good player,
defender, but yeah. But let's talk about it. So we got some predictions here for those that are interested. We're going to be talking about basically there are 3 tiers. A guy that we think will improve from last year, stay the same, or, go downhill. And we're going to stick with the starting lineup and then the starters in the rotation. And then we'll trickle into the bench and maybe like some bullpen guys and whatnot. So let's talk about DJ LeMahieu, who's going to be batting first, it looks like, lead off at third base. I see a down year for LeMahieu. I'm really not high on LeMahieu at this moment. I'm very concerned about how much they are willing to just dive right into. Once again, we're going to have him lead off, even though, and look, LeMahieu's a good hitter, but last year was scary. I think we saw what happens. I mean, these guys, he's getting older. I think a big thing with him is that, he had the foot issue, but you can't just say, oh, well, he had a foot issue last year. Yeah, when you get older, you're more susceptible to getting injured. So I don't see him playing 162 games. I don't see him playing 140 games. I think he's going to miss some games this year, and I think he's going to have a down year. Last year, batted 256, 11 homers, 51 RBIs. I don't see that this year. I think he's going to be batting probably in like the 240s, maybe even the 230s. I'm not a big. I like LeMahieu, right? I'm not a big fan of LeMahieu right now, here and now this year. What are your thoughts?
I might surprise you.
No, you're not, because I can already tell you're gonna say he has a good year.
Can you tell by my Dr. Seuss smirk?
Yeah.
I think DJ LeMahieu is gonna hit over 280 this year.
Okay.
I really do, and let me tell you why. So the way DJ LeMahieu plays, and majority of the people who listen to this podcast know DJ LeMahieu loves attacking first pitch fastballs. Okay. And Jake's a popular guy.
Yeah.
He loves hitting first pitch fastballs. So what you notice over the last couple of years is that DJ LeMahieu was getting a lot of early breaking balls, and they were pitching him different. DJ LeMahieu looked like a different player in the way he was pitched. The Yankees had much more depth when DJ LeMahieu was himself. When DJ LeMahieu was playing well, is because a lot of guys behind him were playing well. But as guys behind him stopped playing as well, he started to diminish. Of course, injuries started to play a role, and flat out, he has to take some responsibility with how he played. But in my opinion, you can't argue that DJ LeMahieu is not going to be seeing a ton of first pitch fastballs when Juan Soto is sitting behind him. Juan Soto is sitting behind him. And don't get me wrong, just because Juan Soto or Barry Bonds or whoever you want to name, A-Rod, is sitting behind you doesn't mean you're just going to have a great year. That's just not the way the game works. But in terms of what DJ LeMahieu is great at, what he excels at is attacking, essentially ambushing first pitch fastballs, ambushing pitches inside the zone. Because I can tell you right now, if DJ LeMahieu has a 3-ball count, pitches are going to be inside the strike zone. This year, he's not seeing a 3-1 changeup. There's not going to be any 3-2 sliders this year. DJ LeMahieu is going to have a very clear game plan against him. Throw him strikes, make him put the ball in play, make him get his hits. Because if not, if you're walking DJ LeMahieu, you're not beating the New York Yankees. If the leadoff hitter's doing damage for the Yankees this year, teams have a problem. So, when you combine that dynamic with what he's great at, in my opinion, buy some DJ LeMahieu stock. Do it now.
Yeah, and by the way, those stats I read, they were his projected stats this year. So I totally didn't even realize that. But yeah, I mean, I think he has a down year. I hope you're right. Obviously, let's not get carried away over there in the comments section. Type of way like, oh, bro hates DJ LeMahieu. No, I don't hate him. I hope he does well. Just like everybody else on the just like everybody else on the Yankees. I mean, there's nobody I dislike on this team. So next up, Juan Soto. Okay. To me, Juan Soto has a chance to win MVP. Mm-hmm. And I think he is set up to, I mean, again, hitting second, it's probably going to hurt his RBIs a little bit, I would imagine. Unless you have Volpe hitting ninth and he has a really good year, and that could work out. But no, I think his RBIs are going to go down a decent amount. But I mean, I could see over 45 bombs for Soto. And I think if that's the case, your number 2 hitter's hitting 45 home runs and your number 3 hitter's Judge. What the hell's he hitting?
Well, I'm predicting he's winning a batting title. So this is an up year. The reason I'm predicting a batting title is because
Soto?
there's no shift anymore. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
There's only shading. Juan Soto is, when you have Aaron Judge sitting behind you and you are Juan Soto, when you have that type of skill set, and this is a stage and a contract year, how can I say he's not going to do anything other than have a career year? I can't.
Yeah, he draws a ton of walks. And this is somebody that doesn't strike out nearly as much as, say, some of the other guys. So then you have his opposite field power that I think he's really shown off in, this spring training. But when he pulls it, he's got that short porch. Everyone's been talking about it. What on earth is Juan Soto going to do at Yankee Stadium, when he's got that short porch in right? And I mean, I got to be honest with you, like, it could be dangerous, it could be massive. And so I think anybody who thinks he's going to have a down year is probably just getting too caught up in the pinstripes, like, oh, the pressure and the weight and all that. I think he's just one of those natural born superstars that kind of just has that moxie, and it's just going to work, and he'll make it work. And I think he's going to be up there to win MVP this year. So I have him having a better season than last year. So then Aaron Judge. Where are you on Aaron Judge?
Numbers wise, way down. So the reason I say this is all he has to do is be healthy and he'll be Aaron Judge. But the reason I say down is because, and somebody said it on the air earlier, is that Juan Soto, if Juan Soto's hitting bombs, well, what are you doing? Like, he's essentially leading off the next run. Like, that's what he's doing. So in terms of numbers, I don't expect to see Aaron Judge have 125 RBI the way that some people are like, oh, this 1-2 punch. Well, Juan Soto, maybe his walk numbers are just insane and it allows Aaron Judge to put up crazy numbers. But in my opinion, the way that lineup's set up, they're going to have to pitch to Juan Soto. I don't know what else you can do. I really do believe that you just kind of have to hope that Juan Soto just hits a ball at somebody, and walking him. What sense is there to do that when the best hitter in baseball is sitting right behind him? I just don't see how that's possible. So in my opinion, I think Juan Soto is going to clear a lot of bases, and maybe RBI wise, like, it's not going to be ideal for him. So numbers wise, I'd say down, but I think it's going to be a very productive year. So I just think typical Aaron Judge, great season.
I mean, after last year, of course, his numbers will be up because he got hurt. But
yeah.
I get what you're saying. I'm going to say they stay relatively the same. I think Aaron Judge is just a model of consistency at the end of the day. Expecting him to just exceed what he's been doing is kind of ridiculous. He's the best player in baseball right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I'm just going to stay true to my prediction here. I'm going to say that he stays about the same here. No up or down season there. Anthony Rizzo. he bothers me, man, because he could have had a really good year and got hurt when he was hitting over 300. And it bothers me because, you don't know what could have been. And now you don't know if is that the shift? Is that like Anthony Rizzo? Like, is this what we should expect? Or are we going to get more like 233 hit 24 to 30 home runs, And I feel like the latter is kind of more of what we can expect. So I'm going to say he stays the same. I don't think he's back next year. If I'm being honest, I think they're going to go after Alonso. So I think, okay. I think they're going to go after Alonso. So I think, Rizzo needs to have a really good year to be back. If he were to have some crazy year, I wouldn't be surprised if they did sign him. But my thing is, though, the injuries are a concern, I mean, the guy gets hit so much. So, I mean, that'll, obviously get him on base and everything. But what if the power's not there this year, man? And now we're talking about, his average is back to 233. And like, that's, I think, the scary part of Rizzo being so high in the lineup. It's like, what if that's the case? And I guess we'll find out, but I'm not going to say down or up. I'm going to say he stays about the same. I think he's going to be the same Anthony Rizzo. But it would be really cool if the Anthony Rizzo we saw hitting over 300, that's the norm. And that's the norm because the shift, and it makes that big of a difference.
Well, where's he projected in the lineup? Like
Fourth.
Fifth? Fourth?
Yep.
I don't like that.
No, I don't either. I mean,
I expect him to hit my expectation for Anthony Rizzo is he hits 240. And I don't know. It's almost like a Luke Voigt season. I don't know. I just expect 240 with 24 homers. And I understand that's not a season to write off. I got that. Mm-hmm. But when you compare a lot of other teams, like the contenders, 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters, like we're talking about Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, right? It is a tough spot to fill. Okay. And we've got Juan Soto. We've got the two cards that they don't have. We've got Juan Soto and we've got Aaron Judge. But who's next? And if you're talking about a guy who we can project to hit 240 and hit 23 homers, 24 homers, he's got to be better. So in my idea of I think a lot of people are expecting first half Anthony Rizzo because, he had the concussion, didn't recover from it. All that is understandable. We got the situation. But to expect him to be that, Anthony Rizzo's never played that well his whole career. He'd never done that before. That was a career year that he was having. And that's why he was derailed. So my expectation, 240, 23, 24 homers. That's a good season. But the Yankees need better than that from the 4 spot. If that's where he's projected, 4-5, they need better. And I'm going to say slight down year from people's expectations.
I'm going to say, kind of stays the same, evens out. I'm also going to say, online it's kind of tough. You have all the different people trying to project it. I'm going to say Stanton probably bats 4th. I could see Rizzo batting 4th and Stanton batting 5th, but I think it makes more sense to have Stanton, as a cleanup. I think Stanton is going to exceed expectations because they're not very high. I mean, who is sitting here saying Stanton's going to be so great this year? No way. I mean,
there's nobody.
Fans that are like, what if? Notice every time they talk about Stanton, like his fans, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Every time they talk about Stanton, it's what ifs. It's not, he's going to do this. He's going to do that. It's not definitive. It's like, hey, imagine if he did this. I mean, it's the same thing we were talking about last episode when I said, man, what if, magically Carlos Rodon has like, now we're talking what ifs,
It's been what it, because now I'm not kidding you when I say this. I was watching MLB Network the other day. They had Carlos Rodon projected as the 4th starter if Blake Snell signs in New York. The 4th starter. That is insane.
That is insane.
So that kind of goes to show you how up and down that is. Like, we don't have any clue who he's going to be. He can be the 4 starter, or Carlos Rodon could be the 2. Carlos Rodon at any given month physically can be the ace of the Yankees. Like, that's how good he is physically, but he just hasn't put it together yet. Now, Willie, we have no idea, right? But it's the same thing with Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton for a month and a half can be our best player for whatever reason. He just can be. And to be honest with you, to answer like kind of what you said earlier about Rizzo hitting 4th, I think they will, because I think they have a hard on for this whole righty lefty thing that they got going on, which,
oh, God,
to be clear, we just said earlier, it's like a couple seasons ago, we're like, it's 2 right-handed. There's a righty. Okay, look, there's another righty. At some point you have to make an adjustment. And then now I think they're going to make that real adjustment where they're being deliberate about that approach. And also, like, to their defense, Anthony Rizzo's a better player than Giancarlo Stanton right now. So he's got to hit 4th. I mean, unless there's like some other option out there, maybe there is that I'm not thinking about. But Giancarlo's done nothing in the last year and a half to warrant hitting 4th for the Yankees. There's no way.
So Rizzo at 4, Stanton at 5. That means Glaber would be at 6.
Oh, Glaber's a better hitter than Giancarlo by far. By far.
My thing is, though, Glaber doesn't have the pop that you're looking for with those guys. Now, he's still capable of hitting 25 to 30 homers, right?
Definitely.
But when you think of home run, are you thinking Gleyber Torres? Or are you thinking Anthony Rizzo? You're thinking Anthony Rizzo. If you're thinking about home run, are you thinking about Torres? Are you thinking about Stanton? Like, I hear home run and I automatically think about Stanton. I mean, that's why he's still on the roster. So, yeah, Glaber looks like he's kind of in there at 6th. Where are you on him? It seems like a lot of people are mixed on him. I think a lot of Yankees fans have already moved on from him, like assuming he is not part of the plans for the future. For me, he might not be, but I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to hit 275. Mm-hmm. I think he'll out homer Anthony Rizzo. I think he might have more home runs than Giancarlo Stanton.
Oh, well, Giancarlo won't be on the field. And Giancarlo, I want him to play so well. Okay. I want Giancarlo. It's in our best interest here at Yankees Unloaded for him to be great, because if he's great, and all these guys who we know will be great, if Giancarlo shows up and he's even like serviceable, the Yankees are going to be pretty much unstoppable offensively. So I want him to play well. Okay.
Of course.
But there's just nothing he's shown me in the last 18 months where I can say that right there is why Giancarlo Stanton should hit 4th. That's why we can expect X. No, I expect Giancarlo Stanton at some point or another this season to be playing well. He'll get hurt. We'll say he's got this little lap thing. We bring him back. And meanwhile, there's a player who was in his spot. It'll be like Verdugo, who they'll be like, okay, he'll be in left field. Now he's DHing today. Verdugo will be hot for 6 weeks. And then all of a sudden, we'll take Verdugo out the lineup and then slot Giancarlo Stanton in there. He'll go 0 for 12 in a series, and we'll be down Boone's ass. We do it every year. It's literally the exact same thing. So I just want people to temper their expectations and have an understanding of exactly not just what will happen in 2024, but what has literally already happened like 3 times. So that's all.
Yeah. I think Torres exceeds expectations. I think Stanton will be Stanton. I think it'll exceed expectations just because I think they're really low. And I think Rizzo is going to be Rizzo. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the middle of the order.
But Gleyber also, to answer what you said earlier, Gleyber Torres, if you're talking about, because you just said you have confidence in Juan Soto resigning, right? And so
Yeah.
do I. We're talking about a $500 million contract. With what just happened with Ohtani, Juan Soto at his age, you're getting his prime years, age 26 through 36. Juan Soto is getting 500. He's getting 500 M's. Now, having said that,
Yeah.
when you give out $500 million to a player and you just gave up $360 million to a player, or $400 million to Aaron Judge, you're not giving $100 million to Gleyber Torres the same offseason.
No.
The Yankees are just not doing that. So unless Gleyber Torres, if Gleyber Torres is getting an extension, that means Juan Soto's gone.
And they're going to get a good
what I'm saying.
compensatory pick for losing somebody like Torres. So
100%.
they'll get
So we'll
like a
take
really
it.
nice second round pick. Alex Verdugo, I don't really even know what his expectations are. I mean, I think he's just going to be kind of the same. You know what? I'm going to say he exceeds because I think he's going to be better in the Bronx. I think he's got the I think he's got what they're looking for. Now the big thing with Verdugo is I think he is going to get the bat on the ball, and he's going to, have those, big moments where he can come through. You're talking, Yankees haven't been able to score at all today with runners in scoring position. And then he gets up and just sticks his bat out there, serves it into right field. That's something that I could see.
He's a grinder. That dude's just
Yeah.
a grinder, which we don't have. Like we didn't have that in New York. So, like to your point, yeah, like we used to go to the bathroom when the Yankees would come up to hit, and because you'd be like, all right, well the first guy got out, so the next guys aren't power guys, so I can just go ahead and shuffle to the bathroom. That was what the Yankees offense was last year.
You're Soto shuffling to the bathroom.
Oh, I was Soto. That's what I do after Taco Bell. I Soto shuffle to the toilet. But I'm telling you, like, Alex Verdugo is one of those guys where it's postseason time. He's like hitting 248 for the season. He's not that great. He's not a great player. But then all of a sudden, when it's Yankees Red Sox, when it's Yankees Astros, he's up there and all of a sudden he's turning it on. That's just kind of the wiring that Verdugo's got. And then plus there's a little catch to Verdugo. Verdugo was called out a little bit from the people in Boston that he didn't always bring it every day. Now he's got something to prove. There's a lot of guys that have something to prove on this team.
Yeah.
But when someone calls you out for poor effort and then you get to New York, what better place is there to show you can give effort?
That's absolutely it. That is it. And I mean, look, you got Pereira, you got Cabrera, they'll probably move Peraza out in the outfield at some point. I mean, all these guys, hell, even Spencer Jones, he's got guys breathing down his neck. He's got to be on it every day. Trent Grisham, I mean, he's really got to be on it because if he's not, he'll get replaced. He was a trade that really didn't take much. The draft capital was very, very thin. The worst, the biggest they gave up was, I think, Richard Fitz. He didn't really fit into the plans and the rotation. So
who's that?
They moved on from him.
Who?
I think it was like their 12th prospect.
Oh, my Lord.
I mean, it was a good move, but Verdugo also might not have a future with the Yankees. So he's playing for not just the Yankees, but he's playing for his future as well, just in the league. So yeah, I agree with you. He's definitely got to, bring it this year. And I think he will. I think he'll exceed expectations. Anthony Volpe is going to shatter expectations. He's going to be the biggest breakout player in the lineup. Because I think at one point he was very confident, very comfortable, and then he got into a slump when you start to see Aaron Judge isn't in the lineup anymore, and this guy's hurt, and this guy's hurt. I think there was just a bad vibe going on in that locker room, in that clubhouse. And so I think Volpe, I think he's going to hit 260, I think he's going to go back to, I mean, we talked about it, last episode. He had almost 20 stolen bases in like the first 2 months, maybe. And then they stopped stealing bases. And I'm like, what the hell? I mean, this guy was one of the league leaders. I think they're going to, just let him go, let him do his thing. They're going to play more small ball. And the reason I say that is because Alex Verdugo. They went out and got a guy that is a contact hitter that goes against everything that people think the Yankees stand for as far as home run or strikeout, right?
Yeah, our culture's changing a little bit.
So I think Volpe is going to feed off that. And I think the cool thing is you have a guy like Verdugo ahead of him in the lineup, and, Volpe is going to be able to knock him in, I think he is going to absolutely exceed expectations. I'm very high on Anthony Volpe year 2. I think it's way easier said than done because you see guys like Corbin Carroll and just all these different rookies that come out and they just light the world on fire. And in the grand scheme of things, Anthony Volpe's season is kind of underrated. Like, it wasn't a great year for a veteran baseball player, but for a rookie, like, you'll take that, because it's only 1 year of taking that. You don't have to take that again.
Yeah, batting average wise, Volpe was atrocious last year.
Yeah.
But there were so many different ways that he impacted the game that he was a very serviceable player last year, like surprisingly serviceable for those numbers. Because if I saw those numbers, I would have said, oh, that's just a flat out disappointing year.
Yeah.
But when you actually watch the games and you see how much he impacts the game, once he starts putting the ball in play more, and we've obviously seen him flatten out his swing a bit, still spring training, so we'll see how it translates. Anthony Volpe has a physical skill set to be a top 2 or 3 shortstop in Major League Baseball. He just has that type of skill set. It's the reason the Yankees didn't trade him. But in terms of who Volpe is, this is the reason why Volpe's going to have a dominant year, okay? And he's only going to get better. Is because most rookie players, when they come onto the scene, they don't get called up to the middle of the year. Volpe made it straight out of spring training. So when Anthony Volpe got to Major League Baseball, he was playing well, okay? He got off to a little bit of a slow start, but then as soon as he got hot, right, he started playing very well for the Yankees. And we looked at him, we said, this is the player we've all been waiting for. But Major League Baseball started making adjustments to him right away. Right away, they made adjustments. They started pitching him up in the zone. That uppercut swing, he was an out. All the second half of the year, the dude was an out. So now coming into the second year, instead of Major League Baseball making those adjustments to a superstar player or an up-and-coming hopeful star, they made the adjustment last year to him. So now Anthony Volpe has seen what Major League Baseball is going to do to get him out, and he's going into the offseason with a different approach, flattening out his swing, and he's coming into year 2. So essentially, we've just expedited his growth spurt because we called him up early last year. We dealt with the growing pains last year. I'm not expecting him to hit 330. The expectations are 250. That's where I'm expecting. If he floats around 250, the Yankees are a problem. I'm telling you, the Yankees are an issue offensively. If we even get 250 from Volpe, that's 40 bags right there. That dude is stealing 40 bases for the Yankees. He's scoring 90 runs. I'm telling you.
I hope at some point he's the leadoff hitter. I think that's probably the plan, and they just don't want to do it yet. And I like, that you brought it up. Like, hey, this guy really forced their hand. Their plan was not to call him up until late last year. Like, he was going to get called up in probably August, and they were like, he's forced our hand. He's going to make the team. And it might not have been the best thing, but hey, look, to go through that in your first season, to go through the ups and downs of a season. I mean, that team never felt like a team that was going to miss the playoffs early on in the season.
No,
when
never.
Aaron Judge went down, then it was a completely different team. But it's good that he went through that. He went through that. And now he's gone through, a full season. I agree with you. I think it makes it easier. So I like it. You and I are both way above the consensus on Anthony Volpe. Austin Wells / Jose Trevino. I think Trevino is going to underwhelm people. I think there's still people that are Well, he was an all-star. It goes back to our funny conversation about all-stars. All-stars, all it means is, hey, I played a good first half of baseball. That's it. That's all it means. Or you got voted in. But, the point I'm making is that the all-star game happens mid-season. Unlike, the Pro Bowl happening at the end of the year, and that's kind of atrocious. And, of course, the NBA all-star game as well. But that happens a little bit after the middle of the season. So,
but it solidifies that for the most part, your season was great.
Yeah.
You didn't play.
But the Major League Baseball all-star game, I mean, it's funny. We've seen guys hitting the home run derby that had 30 home runs. And then they come out of the second half and they have 32. I'm just saying it's a tale of two halves. I like Trevino. I think defensively, Trevino will be, he will meet expectations. With his bat, though, he had that one run, and I think it's been enough to keep people on it, keep them on his side. This is Austin Wells' backstop. It is. And I think he is going to exceed expectations in New York.
Okay.
I think that there are a lot of people that are against him. There are a lot of people that want to make a move at the deadline. What I will say is this, okay? I don't want to make a move at the deadline for a catcher. I'd like to make a move at the deadline. If they don't get Snell, I'd like to see them if they need that pitcher. And we'll see, if you get Rodon pitching the way, he did with the Giants and Cortez pitches the way we think he's going to. I'm kind of spoiling that part of it. But you get my point. If they're looking good, maybe you don't make a move, right? But I would be for making a move at the deadline currently as of right now, not having Snell for a pitcher. But I keep seeing I keep seeing a catcher, and I can't subscribe to that. I'd rather give Ben Rice a shot than just throw caution in the wind and get a catcher.
Yeah, I actually don't like our catcher's room at all. And not the catcher's position, because Trevino is fantastic behind the plate. He is just incredible back there. So he's everything that you need in terms of catching, calling a baseball game. He's everything. But offensively, I don't expect to get much out of literally any catcher on the roster. Not if they bring Ben Rortvedt back, not if they bring out, it doesn't matter who they bring out. I don't expect anything from the catchers other than catching a quality baseball game. Telling Garrett Cole, hey, we're throwing the ball up today. Hey, we're going to work inside today. I think our catchers are capable of calling a game and playing it well, making the proper blocks, using the proper mechanics. But when it comes to bringing their bat up to the plate and doing something with it, I don't have any expectations when it comes to that. So I don't think the Yankees should worry about that. The Yankees do well in terms of pitching. They call good games. Matt Blake has an understanding of what the game plan is, and I think it's going to work. I have faith in that. What I really care about, and you brought it up about the Yankees maybe should make a deal for an arm. I think the Yankees might look at Milwaukee and be like, hey, Devin Williams, they might just shore up the bullpen and do what they kind of did a few years back and use a super pen. You got Clay Holmes. You got guys who, frankly, are comfortable pitching multiple innings, pitching out of turn. The Yankees have a build where you just lost Freddie Peralta, a guy who we really did trust late in games. I can trust Devin Williams maybe mid-season around All-Star break. Milwaukee's out of the race immediately, and I know some people expect them to be decent. I don't. They might be getting rid of Devin Williams, and the Yankees might go fix their pitching that way.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I think looking at Wells last year, 4 home runs, bad 229, but I thought you saw some things, as a hitter. I think he's confident, at the plate. I'll say this. I think he's got that power that, could be really sneaky, talking 20, 25 home runs. If you were
talking about Posada?
I'm talking about Austin Wells.
Oh, okay. Sounds like Jorge Posada the way you're describing him. Because, if he gives us 20 bombs, that's great.
For last year, it's 70 at-bats.
Yeah, I guess that's how the math translates. But,
And
We'll see.
keep this in mind, like Austin Wells, he's known for that typical Yankees draft catchers for whatever reason that can't catch, and they always have to move to other positions. We know that. It's kind of a running joke. Wells is also an outfielder and a first baseman. So, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he has to move positioning, but I also wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees just kind of suck it up and they're like, hey, we have this guy under, he doesn't hit arbitration until 2027. He doesn't become a free agent until 2030. I don't even want to think about what 2030 is going to look like. So
2030?
2030 is when he becomes a free agent.
That's like when Stranger Things is going to be out. The final season.
The next Blade movie.
Yeah.
But no, I think with Wells, I mean, he's somebody who he's not as good as Trevino behind the plate, but like even if he's like serviceable, I could see them taking that like a little bit of that pain defensively for his bat, because if you start having to move him around, you're gonna run out of spots to put him, So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they plan on moving him to first base at some point, but I don't know, man. I watching Austin Wells last year. This isn't somebody that's going to hit 300, but this is somebody that can hit 20 to 25 home runs. And if you get that at your ninth hitter, like, I mean, let's talk about this for a sec, right, Gary? So looking at the lineup, you get at least 20 home runs from everybody except maybe Verdugo, who'll probably hit in the teens. Like Austin Wells, if he hits 20 home runs and Volpe, say he hits 25, right? I think that's fair. 25 home runs. And then Verdugo hits like 16. Then you have Torres hitting 26, 27. Rizzo hits 23, I think is what you said. 24.
Yeah, 24.
Stanton hits 25. Soto hits 45 plus.
That's a lot. That's a lot of ifs.
Judge hits 45 plus, and LeMahieu hits, I don't know, 10. That's a pretty freaking good bunch of home runs in that lineup.
I'm so hopeful. Trust me, when I say guys are going to have down years, I'm so hopeful that Austin Wells, because Austin Wells, I believe, is a U of A. He's at a U of A, and he was very good in college.
You are right. So, he went to Bishop Gorman High School.
Yeah. So Austin Wells he was very good in college. I love the profile out of college. So when the Yankees got him, I was like, this seems like a really good fit, especially I didn't like what was happening at the catcher's position already. But there's so many ifs to his development and where he's going to even be playing. Is he going to be playing catcher long term? Because I'm just not sure if they're committing that way, and we just don't know that. So with all those ifs, it's like, I mean, yeah, like the old adage, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike. That's kind of the way it is. So I am hopeful that they continue to trust his development, but at the same time, in order for him to develop, the Yankees have to be we expect the Yankees to be contending. But if the Yankees are contending, that's a lot of faith that they're going to put taking Trevino from behind the plate and putting Wells out there in games that matter. They played him last year because those games didn't matter. So, and I get that. It was a smart decision because you need to see what you have. But when we'll figure out what the Yankees really think about Wells is when they're up 4 games after the break on Baltimore. If that happens, God willing, and then you see Austin Wells behind the plate, that's when we're going to know what's happening with a kid.
You want to hear something funny about Austin Wells?
I would love to hear it.
He was drafted twice by the Yankees. Find me another player that was drafted twice by a team. So 2018, he was drafted in the 35th round out of Bishop Gorman, and then he went to Arizona, and then 2 years later, they drafted him 28th overall.
God, the Yankees just stare right down the barrel, don't they? They're just hard in their ways.
They do not care. They're like, we liked that guy. We're going to get him. Oh, you didn't want to sign him with us in 2018. You're signing with us now. And they worked. And they got 6 years of control of this guy. So I don't know. I mean, Posadas have to come somewhere. They have to start somewhere. And
They do.
I do feel like the Yankees are so overdue to find another really good catcher. I mean, they are. But I mean, if Wells is just like the epitome of average, the Yankees are in good shape. They don't need a superstar catcher. They just need a guy that's not going to be a total anchor at the bottom of the lineup.
They need Martin Maldonado.
I had suggested him back when they got Cole. Because I know he was there with Cole, but back in Houston. But yeah, it never happened.
Yeah, we just signed a superstar lefty to pair with Aaron Judge. We got Verdugo shirt up the lineup. We expect DJ LeMahieu to bounce back. Glaber's in a contract year. We literally need our young players to be serviceable. If you are serviceable, the Yankees were already on a trajectory to be good last year, which we saw in the first half of the year. Rizzo got hurt. Judge got hurt. DJ finally turned it on when we didn't need him to turn it on, to be frank. The Yankees had a lot to be hopeful for last year, and we're coming into this year with much better players, much better plan. And these young guys, if they can get Aaron Boone to put them on the field when the games matter, that's, I think, where we're going to find out what they think. Because if I see we get to the All-Star break and we're up 2 games in the division, and Austin Wells has started pretty much all of Trevino's like off days, that's not like developing a young player at all. Like that, at that point, there's no reason to have drafted him twice. There's no reason to care about control till 2030. He's just a trade chip at that point.
No, you're right. I think, I mean, you said you think he's going to be down, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I think like I said before, up. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, Austin Wells. I think he'll have. It'll exceed expectations this year for him.
Okay.
Starting pitchers though, and we'll wrap it up with the starting pitchers, because I mean we could get into the bullpen guys and all that. I think that's getting a little too crazy here.
But the starters are going to be good here.
We want you to be able to digest the information. It's already been a long show, but we had to come back with a bang. So let's start off. We'll go 5 through 1. This projected one is interesting. It's got Cortez as the 5th. There's no way.
That's baboonery. Nestor Cortez. He is not our 5th starter.
No,
he's not close to
Schmidt is the definition of the 5th starter. I mean, we'll just say Clark Schmidt, because that's what it's going to be. That this projected list is insane. Clark Schmidt, number 5. Okay. I think he is going to be Clark Schmidt. I don't think he's going to be down. I don't think he's going to be up. I think he's just going to be Clark Schmidt. I think he has probably a season where he's flirting with just under 4 ERA all year. And, maybe it's a tick above 4, which, by the way, I think a lot of us forget those Yankee teams with Sabathia. Not everybody in the rotation had a 3 ERA. It's not a guarantee, Actually, a lot of those older teams, a lot of the starting pitchers weren't that good. So I think starting pitchers are actually better than years past. Because now, your 5th starter is, he has what, 4 ERA, like on a good team, right? But back in the day, you'd be like, yeah, he's got like a 5, flirting with a 6. You'd be like, what? Now, I know what they went through last year with Rodon, and we'll talk about that, but I feel good about saying I think Clark is going to just remain as Clark Schmidt.
Yeah, 4.15 ERA.
Yeah.
He's going to go out there. Like I said earlier, Matt Blake, I'm convinced Matt Blake can bring Mother Mary out there to the mound and make something happen. And because he's just, frankly, he knows what he's after. He understands, because what we saw with Rothschild a few years back, where Sonny Gray wanted to throw, he didn't want to throw his 2-seamer anymore. He wanted to throw a 4-seamer. It was like this whole back and forth. We were figuring out, is Larry terrible? Is it Sonny Gray? Is he terrible? No. Matt Blake, if he's telling you to do something, it's because it works. So I'm expecting Clark Schmidt to understand that game plan and believe in that game plan. And it should work to some degree with him, But of course, your skill set does take over at some point on the mound, and his skill set combined with Matt Blake is going to hover him around 410, 415. He's not at any point going to be great, and like some people hoped, but that's okay. He needs to be a serviceable guy who can give us 20 to 25 starts this year. If he can give us 20 to 25 starts, maybe they fill in a rookie with, Beater, whoever. They want to throw somebody in there in his place.
That. Will
that's
Warren.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right. But when you get 20 to 25 starts, 4.10 ERA, it's exactly what we need from him, and it can bring us to where we need to go. Let's roll.
I think 12-5. Like he's
winning 12 games. Oh yeah, I don't see. I literally see 8 wins,
maybe 8,
but a lot of no decisions, which is okay.
Yeah, no, that's true because he won't be pitching like a full 6 or 7 frame. It'd probably be like a 5 with him.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And
right?
And to be honest with you, I feel like he's going to throw like a perfect game or something this year. Like it just feels like he's going to have one of those games where he's just unhittable. It happened last year with Herman. I have a weird feeling Clark Schmidt is going to throw a no hitter or something crazy. So so we both have him at like even, right? No high, no low, just.
Yeah, that's expectations. Expectations is he's not terrible. He's not never good. He'll be solid. And then
which is all they need for a 5th starter.
It's perfect.
So who's the 4th? To me, that's probably Rodon, I would assume.
I'm actually going to say it's going to be.
Well, no, I'd say it's Stroman.
Do you?
Cortez is the 2nd to me.
Yeah, skill set wise.
I don't see why he wouldn't be. So yeah, I'm going to say it's Stroman. I'm going to say Stroman. What are his expectations right now? It's like
I would say
4 ERA, 11 wins, right?
But you know what's interesting about a guy with a 4 ERA is a dude with a 4 ERA occasionally will just get completely rocked.
Oh yeah.
But then he'll be solid for the next 2 starts. He'll get rocked again. And to be honest with you,
he's going to get rocked in a few of them. You know it.
He's going to get rocked. But Marcus Stroman is the type of guy where he's ready to prove, like all this talk about I couldn't pitch with the Yankees, or I wouldn't conform to what their program essentially. I'm not that type of guy who's going to get in there and mesh with the troops. People made him out to be this thing that he frankly wasn't. But the one thing is he's a very outspoken personality. And when you put an outspoken personality in New York and then you get rocked for 2-3 starts in the year, it can cause problems. So what I'm saying for Marcus Stroman is that I think there's going to be super highs with him and pitching. He's going to pitch some big games in Boston, like put the team on his back in some big games. He's going to go into Toronto and give you 8 and be fantastic. And you're going to wonder, why didn't this guy get $150 million? And then the next week, he's going to pitch against Baltimore and give up 6 in the first inning, and then he'll be pulled.
So true.
That's I'm telling you exactly why Marcus Stroman pitches 140 innings a year. He pitches right at that mark. It's every year. It's because he just hasn't been consistent enough. He's got the skill set. So my expectations is that perception's going to be that he was a down year, but he really performed right at what he normally does.
I think it's, I think
3.85
meets expectations for him.
3.9 ERA.
I think, before we got into this, I think I said 3.9 to low, fours, but no, I think he's going to be meeting expectations as well as Clark Schmidt. Rodon would be 3, I think, in the lineup here, the rotation. I think Rodon is very intriguing because first off, he just had a bad simulated game. So everyone was talking about it. I don't care, frankly. Simulated baseball is not actual baseball. Rodon, I think he's going to have 15 wins this year. I do.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be all glamorous. He could have some, games where he gets some good run support. That's another thing. I think the Yankees are going to win games that they probably shouldn't because their run support's going to be there. Yeah, I'm going to say Rodon, 15 wins. I actually kind of see him below 4 ERA. I'm going to say 3.7, 3.7 around that, 3.79. I think I like 3.79, 15 wins. I think he bounces back. It's not superstar. That's not the guy that they paid, but that's the guy they'll take at this point with the money that they have paid him. So
Yeah, that's not bad, but it's not. It's
no,
not
but
what
it
we signed up
exceeds
for at all.
expectations because at this point, people are just praying he doesn't have a 7 ERA.
So you do think that people think that Rodon is going to get rocked?
I haven't
Would you
seen
say that's
one
the
good
average
thing
person?
about Carlos Rodon. I think Yankee fans see him and remember the whole big deal about trading for Soto, right? Everyone thought the Yankees, if they traded for him right from Washington, they were going to have to pick up Patrick Corbin's deal. And I think Yankee fans are looking at Rodon and saying, do we have Patrick Corbin now? And we didn't even make that trade, but do we have Patrick? Are we stuck with Patrick Corbin right now? And my answer is no, because I think Patrick Corbin, excuse me, is just horrible. I mean, honestly, right now. And I mean, I was watching him and I don't know what happened to him. I don't know. I have no idea. But Rodon had his moments last year. And I was at one of the games. I think it was against the Mets. And I thought, he looked really good through 4. And, you can't pay a guy that much money to be a 4-inning pitcher. But when I was at the stadium, he looked really good through 4. And then I think he got blown up in the 5th. Mm-hmm. And to me, part of that, I think, has had to do with his preparation was definitely off. He gets hurt early on in spring training. And then he tries to come back too soon and gets hurt again. So this is after he had gotten hurt twice. He had come back and he pitches. And I thought, he had a rough, I remember texting you actually at that game. He had a rough 5th inning. And then I think he settled down for the most part and they took him out in the 6th. If he could give you 5, he's going to end up with, under a 4 ERA and winning 15 games. Like I believe that because I think the Yankees, all they need is 5 out of these guys with the run support. I think that they're going to get, or the run support they think that they are going to get. Let's make it that clear. The expectation for them, getting 5 innings out of Rodon, getting 5 out of Clark, getting 5 out of Stroman should be enough to, and back to your point where maybe this is the direction they go, they go out and get Devin Williams and they bolster that bullpen, but 5 innings, I mean, that should be enough the way they use their bullpen to finish teams off. And I think really Rodon, he's either going to be that or it's going to be more like last year, but I don't see it being like last year. I know a lot of people are really kind of, snake bitten almost, they feel like, and I get that, but I don't think this was a bust signing because he wasn't ever going to work. I think the injury really threw off his game last year. And I think it's
shock you.
I think it's
really
TBD, man. I think it's TBD. I think Carlos Rodon, I'm going to say, exceeds expectations.
Okay. I'm about to shock you with my answer. Carlos Rodon is going to be completely dominant this year. That's my answer. I'm talking Carlos Rodon, and this is either the most dookie cold take of all time, and I'm gonna put my hand up and say I don't know anything about baseball, and I'm gonna post it on Twitter. However, the reason I think Rodon is going to be great, I thought he would be great when they signed him, but you just said it. Carlos Rodon got hurt. Okay. He didn't just get hurt in the middle of the year. He got hurt at the time that all the baseball players in the world are preparing for the season. It's literally the one time you don't want to get hurt. You're fresh out of the weight room for 3 or 4 months. You're ready to get on the field and prepare yourself for the grueling season that's ahead. He got into that preparation and immediately got hurt. Okay. And then we started talking about building him back up, and that entire process was disrupted. So this offseason, Carlos Rodon shows up first of all the players, all those players that we know who are like the most professional guys in our locker room. They all showed up after Carlos Rodon. So it goes to show me he's not talking about his injuries. He's not talking about any excuse that could be anywhere near this narrative that's going to be provided with Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon is taking it, like he's essentially taking it on his shoulders and saying, I'm going to be great this year. And he's healthy. So based on his skill set and his demeanor coming into 2024, I have no reason to believe he won't be great. I'm talking 2-5, completely dominant. If a dude, I'm expecting a Blake Snell type season, because you have to remember Blake Snell was atrocious a few years ago. This is a guy who's a roller coaster. He'll give you, same with Trevor Bauer. He'll pitch to a 2, win a Cy Young in a short season, and then the next year he'll pitch to a 5. So
That's
Rodon,
true. Are
I
you
just think
scared
Rodon's
though
great.
at all about the NL factor?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm really not. I understand that, and to be honest with you, the American League East was pretty weak for a while. Like the Yankees were just beating up on some bad teams. I think that the Yankees in general are just a really good baseball team this year. Doesn't mean I think they're going to win a World Series. I think they have a really good chance. But the way that the team is set up, I don't think there's a ton of pressure on Rodon the way that people think.
That's
I think we're
true.
sleeping on him. So when you're talking about a guy who's performed really well with really hardly any expectation before, he did that in Chicago. No one pays attention to the Chicago White Sox. He's coming into this season feeling like a Chicago White Sox. He might pitch really well this year. So I'm going 2.5 ERA, 19 wins, completely dominant.
I like that. I think it's bold, but I mean, it matches up with kind of my thought process is that if you're willing to, think about more than just, oh, well, he was trash, because you see it all the time. He was trash, whatever. If you're willing to really see like, okay, why did a guy who had a, sub 3 ERA fall off a cliff? And then you think about the variable that everybody should be talking about that people still, for whatever reason, don't want to talk about. It's that he got hurt. And
He did. Yeah.
In addition to that, I actually have his game log in front of me. Yes.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Let's hear it.
So his first game as a New York Yankee in July, they just came back from the injury against Chicago. He pitched 5 1/3, 99 pitches. He had 2 earned runs given up, 4 hits. He gave up a home run. You'll take that.
Oh, of course.
So that's 2 earned runs.
That's what aces mainly do.
Yeah, he only had 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, but that was down. But also Garrett Cole, when he first signed with the Yankees, he wasn't striking guys out either. At the beginning, he was getting rocked in spring training. He came out throwing 95 in the first month of the season, and I'm sitting there looking around going, do the Yankees just like have this formula that we don't know what to do with talent? I swear to you, I was thinking that. In Garrett Cole's first month and first 6 months as a Yankee,
yeah,
it wasn't
scary.
Great. It was scary.
The next game, 4 earned runs, 4 hits, 5 innings pitched. He had 88 pitches in that one, 6 strikeouts. So he was getting, more strikeouts, but he also gave up a home run. Then the next game, week later against the Angels, I believe it was the Ohtani game. He had like 2 home runs. He gave up 2 home runs. I think both to Ohtani. 6 earned runs, 5 walks, just a bad game. Then the Mets game I was at. Okay. 5 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. He gets the win. That's his first win of his career. I actually saw his first win of his career. How about that?
You did. Nice.
And, I think maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe there's some bias there, but I saw somebody that they can win with, and then, you get into right after that. I think he got hurt. He was playing injured. I know that he was pitching injured. His next legitimate loss, because he would have no decisions back to back to back after that. And really the no decision that he had against Washington should be a felony, because he had six innings pitched, 1 earned run, and he gets a no decision. But I mean, here are the hits he gave up: 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 6, 4, 3, 8, 4, 6, 5, 6. The
Jake,
issue with Rodon, issue with Rodon is the fact that the games that he, when he gets into it, an issue, right? Listen to the home runs. Get this: 1, 1, 2, 0, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. So only 2 games last year in 14 starts?
That's pretty good.
No, not good. Only 2 games in 14 starts where he didn't give up a home run.
Well, how often do pitchers throw without giving up a homer? Because I feel like Garrett Cole gives up a lot of homers as well. If we look at those game logs.
But I guess the point I'm making here is I think that had something to do with it. He's not giving up a ton of hits. He's just giving up really big hits, right? And another thing are his walks, because I noticed something. His walks, he had 2 in the first game, 2, 5, 3, 4, 2, 0, 2, 1, 0, 4, 0, 1, 2. I think he got better with the walks as the season went on. And there's a game that is not talked about because he lost against Pittsburgh, where he gave up 6 hits, but he had 10 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, and he gave up a homer. But they lost in that game to Pittsburgh, so it doesn't get talked about. That was 6 2/3 innings. That's the most he pitched all year, and he pitched 103 pitches. It's the most pitches he threw. He threw 76 strikes, and he did not have a game where he threw more than 7 strikeouts. And then, in September, the 12th and 17th, he throws 9 strikeouts and 10 strikeouts.
That's what we paid for.
So he's got it. He has it in him. It's not like it's gone. It's not like he's a washed up dude that just, hit a wall. That's what I'm trying to say. And why I think, obviously I know what you're saying and you're way higher on it than I am, but anybody that thinks this guy's going to be throwing, having a 7 ERA again, I don't know why.
It was circumstantial. If you really pay attention to everything that happened, it's kind of like saying Rizzo's going to be bad this year because he was atrocious after his concussion. That's just ignoring the context of what actually happened. Because everyone was sitting there wondering, is Rizzo just washed all of a sudden? But then the context came out down the road. Oh yeah, this guy had a concussion. That's what happened. Okay, well, Rodon, he stunk. Oh yeah, but he also was not playing healthy at all.
Also, think about where did he leave off? What was his last game of the year? It was against the Kansas City freaking Royals, and he got doused in flames. 0 innings pitched, 6 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 walks, and a home run. That's what people remember.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, all the good things we were talking about, and I don't love babying a guy that they paid all that money to. I understand the frustration. You have every right to be pissed off that he didn't have a great year last year, but you also need to have context and understand that starting off the whole preparation thing, not being able to do that, I mean, that puts you at a disadvantage right off the cuff. And when you're playing, in the major leagues, I mean, you have a blister on your finger and it can make a huge difference on, how you throw the baseball. So
yeah, how ironic, by the way, you're talking about Rodon had a bad year because he had no time to prepare. And yet Scott Boras thinks that we're giving $200 million to Blake Snell, who's
in
not
the
going to have enough
same
time
episode that we
He's
brought
high.
up the lack of preparation, that should be just the title of the episode. Not really, because that wouldn't be very SEO friendly. But I mean, seriously, how many times do we go back to the preparation of spring training and how important it is? And I mean, like you had said it before, like with Giancarlo Stanton earlier in this episode, when you're like, I mean, hey, Giancarlo knows how to hit better than I do, but it's kind of a weird stance. You're pointed towards first base. Like, hey, Scott Boras, he might know how to make more money than us, but it doesn't mean that he is doing the right thing here.
It doesn't mean I can't offer him an opinion that's over the target at some point.
Well, I mean,
because at some
think
point,
we're right.
somebody, we think we're right, and I think everyone, when they offer opinions, they think they're right. But I really do think we're on target here.
Oh yeah,
but it's like we can't always look at people and be like, well, he can do this and you can't, so you can't ever offer an opinion on it.
Oh,
I
no,
mean, Scott
exactly.
Boras just asked us for $220 million, and he's about to get 135, and he thinks he's right. No, it didn't go well, because you could have accepted if all those. There's like 3 or 4 reports that the Yankees offered 150. If Blake Snell still gets 150, I'll be impressed. Yeah, I really will be.
Well, one thing I want to bring up as we wrap this thing up, because man, this is long. I want to bring this up because I feel like everyone's just like, oh, it's a 162 game season, like he'll be fine. How many times do you hear that? Like, they said it about Correa, like he signed way late. They always say that about these free agents that take forever, which, by the way, no other normal like free agency does this. You'll have guys that sign late in the off season, like in the NFL. And I mean, hockey's weird. They'll literally fire a head coach and then hire another head coach in the middle of the season who was just fired from another team. I don't know how they do it that way. Different sports have weird things. Baseball has the weirdest offseason ever. And 162 game season, and it's already this is living proof. This is living proof right now. What Rodon went through last year is exactly why you can't just be like, well, there's 162 games. He'll figure it out. He never figured it out. He had moments last year. We talked about this just now. Had moments last year where you're like, I could take that. But now we're settling, In reality, he wasn't consistent at any point in that year. You look at, there's a game 1, game 4, game 7, you take game 8, game 9. So he had, 3, back-to-back games where he was consistent there. And then game 11, 12, and that's it. So I agree, kind of wrapping this up in a bow and going back to the beginning of this show. I mean, yeah, I think this is a huge mistake for Snell, and I think it's going to backfire. And I mean, I'm at the point where I don't even know if the Yankees should get him, because if he doesn't go through this process, what if this happens again with the whole, Rodon thing?
It could be Rodon. The last thing I'll say about, it's not just Snell, it's anybody who's skipping the preparation process in pursuit of a contract. And I'm not going to sit here and grill them about you should agree to contracts back then. Like, it's your money, you make the decision. It's your body, you make the decision. But Major League Baseball is an entire ramp up process to playing. I've played sports before. We have spring training. Okay. It's not called spring training, but we have fall ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Fall baseball. Fall baseball is not a time where we all play 9 innings of baseball, because I played center field. In fall baseball, I didn't play 9 innings. I played the first game of the year. I came out, I started the first 4 innings of the game. After the first 4 innings, I was gone. I was sitting in the locker room, was able to ice my body, get prepared for the next game. Next game, I played 4, 5, maybe even 6 innings, and I come out the game again, right? Now, by the end of fall ball, I'm now ramping myself up and getting my body prepared to play 8 and 9 inning games, okay? Now, once the season starts, I'm not coming out of the baseball game. I'm playing 9 innings every single day. But those people who didn't play in fall baseball, and it happened all the time, players got hurt, okay? It was just part of the process. Those players had injuries all year. And it's because those players went from playing 0 innings to playing 9. That's what happens. So there's a reason we have those processes in place. There's a reason why Garrett Cole throws 40 pitches. And then we say, well, what's his pitch count? Does anyone ever notice that we always guess how many pitches is Garrett Cole going to throw today? Is the Yankees going to let him throw 40 today? It's because we're basically talking about the process of ramping him up.
Yeah.
Blake Snell is skipping that process.
Yeah, it's conditioning, man.
It's not helpful. So the chances of Blake Snell being great in the first half of the year this year it's not high. Okay?
No.
So you need to be very careful, especially when you're talking about 150. Me personally right now, I'm hoping the Yankees don't get Blake Snell.
Yeah,
and it's not because I don't want him.
I agree.
It's just the process of getting your body ready. And when you skip this process and now all of a sudden you're dealing with a shoulder from a guy that you gave $160 million to, that's a colossal dump of a contract because of what you put him through, because of what both sides agreed to. It doesn't work. You needed to give a guy that contract and make sure he has all the tools necessary to be ready on opening day. But once we've skipped that ability to get him ready for opening day, I don't see why we're even considering bringing that guy on board.
No.
That's all I got to say about it.
25 days away. Man, fun episode. And I'm with you. I think at this point, I've changed my stance from our last episode. To be fair, that was what, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. So, I mean, time flies, and Blake Snell isn't a Yankee. And I think I'd rather just wait until the deadline. And if you feel like you need a starting pitcher, there'll be some surprise teams that maybe right now, they're in spring training thinking, oh, we're going to be great. And then the rug's going to get pulled out from under them. And they're like, oh, we have to get rid of these guys because we need to kind of rebuild. And, I think those are the teams that you would, pursue for a trade. So Yankees have plenty of trade capital. I don't see them moving on from Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez, but I mean, after that, I think everybody's available. I think we should keep an eye on Will Warren. We should keep an eye on the other guy you brought up, Beater, and we should keep an eye on the number one prospect Warren right now is the number one prospect. So, yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting, man. I believe that. I think Snell, you kind of mentioned like last time he could go to the Angels. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go somewhere that, maybe has been mentioned or whatever. My feeling is he's not going to end up with the Yankees. I don't think, Jack Curry was just saying that just to say it. You know what I mean? I don't get that vibe. I think he definitely was saying it because people were getting all, that not bleacher. What was it? Barstool. That Barstool report doesn't look very good.
Well, no. And the funny part is they were all hearing the same thing because they were all tweeting the same thing together and there was nothing to talk about. And we knew that a couple hours in. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of
Chase
the
Hampton,
credentialized guys
is the top prospect, pitching prospect. Yeah, I totally was blanking on his name, and I was like, yeah, it's Will Warren. It's like, no, it's not Chase Hampton. But no, I saw you had mentioned that on Twitter. To now finally wrap it up, quick stuff I want to throw out about spring training, just some takeaways. I mean, George Lombard Jr., I think they got a good one in him.
Please.
Like, I think they got a good one in him because he was supposed to go higher, and I think there was an injury, and he ended up falling into the Yankees' lap, and he's hitting bombs. Did you see Jeter Downs with the Derek Jeter play?
It's honestly what's funny is I was embarrassed to watch it. If that makes sense.
I kind of was too.
I was like, it almost felt, and don't get me wrong, I've done the Jeter throw before. It's fun. Everyone's done the Jeter throw before. It's so much fun. But I don't know. I just felt when I saw it.
Well, he didn't do the full, jump throw. But I mean, and then
Jeter throw.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then your beat Vivas, who they got for trading away Trey Sweeney, who we mentioned in the last, he's having, some decent stuff. I've seen some decent things out of him in spring training. So look, it's super early. Doesn't really mean a ton, but those are some guys that stood out to me that I figured deserve some mentioning. Also Everson Pereira, that freaking bomb he hit the other day. That was absolutely crazy. So hopefully he can do that. Maybe even push for a spot in the lineup. Probably
he'll be a Marlin. See you in Miami.
So yeah, that's gonna do it. Otherwise, we're never gonna end this thing. I think I'm convinced. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. You can follow him at Gary Sheffield Jr. You can follow me at JK Bogan on all social media. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Take care, folks. Later.